Hello, dear passengers. This is your captain speaking, and we are about to take off for another episode of Adventurina. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Adventurina, your travel dose and hopefully your time to chill and relax. Maybe you're on your way to work, or maybe you're sitting on your couch, maybe doing grocery shopping. Whatever you are, I hope you enjoyed this episode. January is slipping away, and it's kind of unreal how literally yesterday we were starting a new year, and now its first chapter, one of the 12, is almost gone. You kidding me? Anyway, hope the first month of 2025 was productive and good for everyone. I know it's a hard period for many with, sticking to your New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. Well, remember, if you didn't stick to them, there's always another year to come and we can try again. Just kidding, but not really. So, with so much happening lately and so much to happen, I decided to take a look at that poor inbox and get some questions from different adventurers. I had been trying to get to them for some time, but I guess I was, waiting for the perfect moment. And this perfect moment has arrived. So, dear passengers, we're about to take off for a destination called Q&A. It's about time. So just like always, I'm gonna say that I will try my best to answer about 10 questions, but because of the way I never shut up, I will most likely only have time for 4 or 5. You know me, guys, you shouldn't be surprised at this point. So first one is actually the oldest question I received, and I'll just go with it as I feel bad for, not doing Q&A for a while. So the first question is, I want to travel often, but I'm only off on weekends, and I think it's not worth it to go just for a night. Do you go on short trips? And if yes, what's the shortest one you've been on? And was it expensive? Oh, baby girl or baby boy, I don't know. Let me see. Shaima. I assume it's a girl. So Shaima, I ain't saying no to any trips. If you call me in the morning and you want to drive 5 hours to a place where we're gonna stay, 1 hour and drive back, you better let me know what time you're picking me up. Those short trips sometimes are the best adventures. And who cares if it's a day or 10 days? I'll take anything. Longer trip doesn't necessarily mean better, Of course, the bigger the destination, the more time you need. But there are tons of places that you can hit just for the day or for the weekend. I don't know where you live, but for example, here in California, a weekend is absolutely enough to go to a national park or a state park, to hit a new beach or to do a hike. There's so much to do for weekend trips here, it's insane. In my opinion, if you see cheap tickets and it's not that far away, so you have some decent hours to spend there, you go, girl. Who cares if you only stayed for a night or didn't even stay overnight? I usually don't like going back to destinations. I've shared that before. So sometimes, even if I have time and it's cheap, I wouldn't really want to go to a place I've been to because I've already seen what I've wanted from it and I'm not that excited. I would rather see something new and spend my money on something new. Their destinations, though, they're close to San Francisco and they happen to be affordable, so I somehow end up there at least once a year for one reason or another. Las Vegas, for example, is one of them. And now, speaking of short trips, I think of one of my Vegas trips, one of my Vegas visits, which might be actually my shortest trip ever. Maybe even shorter than my layover in Doha, Qatar 5.5 years ago. So I will try to make the story quick. I at least promise to try. I really like Usher. He reminds me of my childhood and the time when my friends and I, started going to clubs and partying, which, yes, we were in middle school, but we started doing those things way earlier in Eastern Europe, but different topic. Anyway, I love Usher and I had been waiting to see him for many years. My list with bands, singers, concerts in general, people I want to see was getting shorter and shorter, but I still hadn't been able to cross Usher off it. After the Super Bowl this year, actually last year, oh my god, I'm still not used to say 2025. After the Super Bowl last year, where Usher performed at the halftime, which I of course enjoyed a lot, I was thinking, damn, when am I gonna be able to see this shit live? And literally a little after that, he announced his tour, and I was, hell yeah, finally. So I had been waiting for him to go on a tour, as for the last couple of years, if not more, he had been doing the Vegas residency. For those of you who don't know what this means, it's an exclusive show line of a specific band or singer who only performs at the specific venue in Las Vegas, without performing anywhere else. So for months and often years, certain artists can only be seen there. Of course, the exclusiveness of the show bumps the price all the way to God and back. So losers like me are very unlikely to attend, if you know what I mean. Of course you do. So all I have to say is that back in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, I checked for Usher's residency as I really wanted to go. Not only the tickets were about $800, $900, but there was something that I had never seen on a ticket until then. And as you know, I spent half of my time on Ticketmaster, TickPick, Vivid Seats, whatever. So the ticket was about $800 plus, and it said in the description, and I'm not even joking, I really regret I didn't take a screenshot. It said, artist not guaranteed to show up. I was like, what? You're gonna charge me $800 plus, and I won't even know if I'm seeing Usher or not? I don't think so. Not that I was considering buying the ticket, but still, what the hell? If I'm paying $800 plus, I not just want Usher to be there, but he better be close and he better perform to me specifically. Just kidding, but not really. Anyway, Usher announced his tour. I was super excited, waiting for the dates. I knew he was gonna come, if not to San Francisco, then somewhere close. So, I was gonna attend for sure. And I was right. He had 2 dates in Oakland, right across the Bay Bridge, and it was perfect. With 2 dates, I could pick the cheaper one, and I could even go to the music festival, Portoa Fest, that happened to be the same weekend. So it sounded like a great combo. But the universe had a different plan for me, and don't get me wrong, it was hell of a plan, way better than any concert. So I got to go to Bulgaria, and Usher plus the music festival kind of went to hell. And I don't mean it with regret or anything, just priorities, But the psychopath I am, I'm getting really distracted from the main question, I'm so sorry, but I already started the story, so fuck it. The psychopath I am, once I came back from Bulgaria, I decided to just check. And I love how my just check turns into a full-blown destination research, or 4 new ideas for a trip, or like a concert potential thing happening. Anyway, I decided to just check if he's still touring, and guess what? My boy was going to Vegas, not for residency, as part of his tour. And guess when? On a weekend. And guess which weekend? Between another 2 trips that I already had planned. I was like, damn, looks like this month I'm paying rent for nothing, goddammit. I should ask for a discount since I'm not spending any time here. However, a weekend trip with all expenses for hotel, flights, and a concert ticket can be pricey in Vegas especially, despite how close it is to San Francisco. But your girl got lucky. So first, tickets for the concert were actually way cheaper than the ones in Oakland. No surprise, we're talking about Bay Area. So I got a ticket for almost twice cheaper than the one I was gonna get for Oakland. Now I still had to figure out flights and accommodation. And I was like, I have miles on one of my airline credit cards from previous flights, and I won't need much to exchange for such a short trip. I will just, get the flight with them. And that's exactly what happened. I exchanged 14,500 miles, which was a fair, value for a round trip to Vegas. And I even set up the departure and arrival with just a few hours from each other. What does it mean? It means that I just went to Vegas for a few hours. So basically, I went there, attended the concert, gambled a little bit in one casino. And when I say gamble, understand me putting in my $1 bills, desperately trying to figure out what I'm doing. I went to the airport and came home. Yes, and it was totally worth it. Total ticket and flight price was about $75 both. Perfect. And I know I still had the expenses for transportation to and back from the airport, going to the venue in Las Vegas, but It wasn't that expensive because the venue was just conveniently located close to the airport, so Uber was about 7 or 8 minutes. It wasn't even that expensive. Food was cheap too, as you get options in the hotel such as fast food and stuff like that. So honestly, it wasn't any different than if I stayed here in San Francisco and went out with the girls. I literally went to the airport with a fanny pack, just with my wallet and keys, and in 12 hours I was back. Yes, there was a little downtime between my casino visit and the departure, but it's Vegas. Even sitting on a chair and watching people is fun. So yeah, this is an example of a really short trip that was totally worth it. I was by myself and I had a great time. Imagine if you go with someone, maybe a group of friends, and let's say you live in California and Vegas is the spot, It doesn't have to be a concert. There's so many shows in Vegas to pick from. Every single day there's so much happening. With plenty of affordable options, you can always get good prices. And honestly, just go with the cheapest. Like, it's cool enough to be there. You don't need to be in the first row. Sometimes you may get lucky and either sneak in closer or actually be asked to do it because, the venue is not full. I once got lucky with my friends while on a bachelorette party in Vegas, and we got moved from the second floor of Magic Mike to the first floor where the view was awesome. So just go, And wherever you live, I feel like there are always options to see something, not necessarily, involving a plane either. Just get in the car and you figure it out. What was the question? Oh yeah, if short trips are worth it. Totally. Question number 2. You talk about budget traveling, but what if we cannot save? With so many expenses and temptations around us, sometimes it's hard to stick to a goal. Do you have any recommendations for people who find it hard to save money? Okay, let me see. From the way this question is asked, I kind of get the vibe that we're not talking about like a super strict budget to the point that you can't afford anything except for, your bills and the essentials. It kind of sounds to me like whoever is asking, I only see numbers under username, by the way. Whoever is asking sounds like can afford things, because I'm specifically looking at the word temptations. So saying we cannot save while we can afford temptations is a little contradicting to me. Let me see if I got it right. You make good money, you make enough, let's say, but you have too many temptations and things to spend it on, so it's hard for you to save to travel. That's what I get, and forgive me if it's wrong. So I will answer from this perspective. I think traveling, just like anything else in life, is a matter of priorities. And before someone starts giving me shit, let me finish. If I open Amazon and order stuff that I don't really need but make me feel good, let's say some home decor, or I open Lululemon and buy a few things to spoil myself, that's an expense. But also it's a choice. Like, is that a necessity? Is this a bill? No, it's not. It's something we can live without but decide to get because we want it. And that's totally fine. Our money, our purchases. Absolutely. But is it right to say that after spending some amount of money on these websites, you cannot afford to travel? Or it's more accurate to say that you just picked something else over? I hope I'm being clear here. There's nothing wrong with online shopping or splurging or spending money on things we don't need. We all do it. We all spoil ourselves from time to time. I'm sure you work hard for your money, whoever you are. So you, of course, will spend it on whatever you like. But I don't think it's right to say we can't afford traveling when we can afford things that are not essential and are a choice. It's just a matter of priorities. Like, you prefer clothes over traveling, and that's okay. You can buy as much as you want. We're all different, and we all like different things. Or we like the same things, but in different proportions. What I'm trying to say is that spending our money on other things doesn't mean we can't afford traveling. It means we can afford it. We just prefer to do something else with this money. And that's okay. Again, I know people who have amazing style, high-end clothes, and really know how to shop and what pieces to get, so, they can look great effortlessly. It's just their thing. They love it, meaning they spend money on it, because that's what brings them joy. However, because of this joy, they have to cut on certain other things. but they love the clothes and they love looking good, so they are okay with that. They get to travel less and do less things because their priority is to have high quality clothes. Totally fine. I do know people like this. Some of them have never been abroad. Do I understand it? No. Am I anyone to say shit? Absolutely not. Their life, their rules. Same over here. Same as an example, opposite as hobbies, I guess. I couldn't give less crap about clothes. Do I like looking good? Of course. Do I admire beautiful pieces and expensive stuff? Hell yeah. Is that my priority? Absolutely not. Since at this stage of my life I cannot afford both traveling and high-end clothes, I would gladly be wearing my $10 t-shirt loud and proud on some street in South America, for example. My priority is to travel, so I would cut expenses from things that don't matter to me that much or at all. Do I want them? Yes. Can I live without them comfortably? Still yes. Then it's decided. Again, priorities. It's one thing to not be able to meet the ends, but it's a different thing to be able to afford stuff and prefer not to. Again, nothing wrong with being a shopaholic. Just remember that if you want to save money, your will is only working in cases where you save for something you're really passionate about. If you don't care about something or you don't care that much, you'll keep spending this money on something else. I hope I answered your question or actually, I think I didn't. Last part is, do I have any recommendations for people who find it hard to save money? Well, I guess I partially did, but as a final thing, I would say if you're really bad at saving for traveling, but not for anything else, maybe you don't want to travel that much. So don't worry. Once you want to travel, trust me, once you get the travel bug, you will find a way to finance that trip. You will start selling clothes left and right to fund the next adventure. But until then, buy what makes you happy and follow your shopping urges, I guess. If you want to get more information about saving for traveling, I do have a whole episode in season 1 called Turning Hacks into Flights or Airplane Tickets, something like that. Look it up and listen to it. Okay, next one. If you can give one packing tip, what would that be? I've said it before. I think it was pretty recent even. In the Pack Right, Not Light episode, my main rule that I stick to and the one that saves me so much time and space is pack outfits, not clothes. I'm going to Bolivia in 10 days and I already know everything I'm taking with me. This is because I have researched the weather for the specific month I'm going and because I know what we are doing and where we're going every single day. We have bus tickets, accommodations, and tours booked, so we know our itinerary for every single day, which is extremely helpful to know how many outfits I need. Knowing that, I can pack things that I can mix and match, such as tops and pants or different jackets. That way I know I'm not gonna wear the same outfit. Not that I'm that kind of person, but I love looking different in my photos. That doesn't necessarily mean I have to wear, different things every day. I can just combine them differently. So yeah, that would be the thing I'm repeating the most when it comes to luggage. You'll be surprised how much time and space it actually saves. Next one. How do you decide where to travel next? I feel like the decision is so overwhelming that I end up not knowing if I made the right decision. Oh, that's a tricky one. My bucket list, for good or for bad, is as long as the day is. So I never run out of ideas simply because I want to go everywhere. And there is a lot of that everywhere that I haven't explored yet. Of course, at some point, you gotta put some order in this poor mind and you gotta make some decision or at least establish some way to decide. Deciding where to go next is a combination of many small details: your availability, your budget, your nationality, your preferences, the weather. I think the time we have for a certain trip, a vacation time in other words, pretty much acts like a first level narrowing down. Let's say you only have a week, so that automatically excludes destinations on the other side of the world, for example, that need at least 2 weeks to be explored. Why spend 2 full days or plus to travel to and back and only have about 4 days to explore? On top of that, such a further destination means a big time difference, so it will be even harder and less worth it. Budget is another factor for many of us. You guys know I always travel on a budget and, save from whatever I can before I take off so I can have more to spend there on experiences and activities. That's the only thing I don't save from, tours and stuff like that. So, consider your overall budget. Check prices for a few destinations you want to see and you will know if any of them fit in your budget. Any travel restrictions would also be a factor to consider. Do you have enough time to prepare the documents to go? Are you allowed to visit? Do you need to take any vaccines? Maybe, it takes time to get them. Weather too. You may have time in December, but your dream is to visit a specific country during the summer. And their summer is between June and August, let's say. So it wouldn't work. I feel like if we have the time and the money, it becomes a little harder because now you have too many options, and good luck with that. If you're like me and you want to see everything, you have to come up with some kind of decider game. Is that a thing? I think I just created a game, or at least a name for it. So a few times in my life when the indecisiveness had shown up, is that a word? I don't know what I'm talking about today. Anyway, but a few times in my life when I would be really indecisive, I wouldn't be able to take travel decisions. So I would ask for help by doing a couple of things. First, and I'm not joking, write down on a piece of paper the destinations you're trying to pick from. Mix them up and without looking, just pick one. Whatever it shows, you have to go. Or, at least these are the rules. But since this is not even a real game and we can do whatever we want, I have another rule for you. Once you pick the piece of paper and see which destination you selected, you will immediately know if you're happy about your luck. Because sometimes we think we want a couple of things the same way and we think we cannot pick. The truth is that we always, or almost always, like one of them a little better. And we realize this when we end up having the other one. So in this case, if you're wandering between two destinations and you pick the one that you don't feel absolutely excited about, that's your sign that you need to go to the other one. I feel like our reaction says it all, and our reaction kind of makes the choice for us. I also use something called a fortune wheel. Damn, I'm getting pathetic, but I have to share this. So there's a website that literally has a fortune wheel for people to play games, or maybe people to choose random stuff. It helps when you want to leave the decisions to the destiny, I guess. So what I do is I add my destinations, the ones that I cannot decide between, and I just spin the goddamn thing. Or I actually click the mouse since it's a digital fortune wheel. And that's it. It's decided for you. It's fun to do it with more destinations because the suspension grows more and more while the wheel is, starting to spin slower, and it's fun. Literally the last time we were deciding between Brazil and Bolivia, we just couldn't decide. Like, it was so hard. So we just spin the goddamn thing and the fortune wheel decided for us that we were going to Bolivia. Actually, for the last few months, I find it kind of easy to decide where to go, and I should thank my friends for that. Why, you may ask? Because here in San Francisco, my friend circle is 90% immigrants just like me. So we all come from different countries, we all talk about our cultures, and we all educate ourselves, we ask each other questions, we bring traditions to our gatherings and celebrations. I love it. And with so many close people from different countries, where do you think I want to go first? Of course, to their countries, because I have heard and seen so much about their homes that I already love these destinations without even setting a foot there yet. Some of my closest friends are from Colombia, Brazil, Peru, and Japan. Where do you think I want to go next? Of course, to Colombia, Brazil, Peru, and Japan. Would I want to go there if I didn't have friends from these countries? Absolutely yes. These countries would still be high on my bucket list, but maybe I wouldn't rush to visit them because they wouldn't mean that much to me without friends who come from these lands. So if you have international friends, I think the decision will be very easy for you. You love your friends, you want to see where they come from, and if you have been there, I guess return to the fortune wheel advice. But I would say it doesn't matter where you end up going. No trip will be wasted time. You will regret no trip. So just go. Sometimes, a destination can surprise us. And I think I'm gonna just do one more. I somehow managed to keep it a little shorter than I expected, so you guys should be proud of myself. Just saying. Last one. What's your funniest plane experience? Oh my god. Uh, I for sure have had some funny moments. Maybe nothing crazy to the point to mark the whole trip, but oh, on the top of my head, last year we were heading to Palm Springs. So on the day of our flight, the line at the TSA was huge and it was going very slow. At the time, we didn't have clear, so we were just waiting like everyone else on the line. It was Saturday around noon. The airport was packed. All the lounges had a waiting time of 40 minutes plus, so we had to eat whatever was available after we passed TSA. I'm not a picky person. When I'm hungry, I'm like a dog. I would eat anything. But God, there is just something that doesn't feel right about having a greasy ass burger for breakfast. I'm sorry. Maybe if you're hangover, but that wasn't my case. On an empty stomach, first thing in the morning, I kind of hated it, but I had to do it. You know, it was the only place around and the only one that could prepare our food as fast as we needed it. So we were waiting to hear our names for the order and we were literally watching people boarding our plane. The boarding had started and we were still on the upper level waiting for our food. We had already paid, it had been enough time for them to have prepared it, but it wasn't ready yet. And after most of the passengers boarded our plane, I was like, fuck it, like, let's ask if the food is going to be ready anytime soon, and let's just tell them that we're literally gonna miss our flight. So we decided to split. I went downstairs to stay next to the door and make sure we had time to board, and my boyfriend just stayed in the line to wait for our order. And we were starving, like, that wasn't a great way to start a trip at all. And I made it to the gate and asked the flight attendant. She said we had a few more minutes, and I felt better because, you know, at least one of us was there. And also the restaurant was literally above the gate. Like, I could see my boyfriend waiting for the food and he could see me waiting for him. So in a few minutes, I see him coming on the escalator holding a huge paper box, similar to, I don't know, like 18 donut box, you know? I was like, what the hell is that? We're about to board a plane for a flight that only allows us to have personal items. And we're getting on that shit with a box full of food with the size of a carry-on. I was literally crying. It was ridiculous. I was absolutely sure that the flight attendant would be like, what are you doing? Like, you know, this ain't some picnic. So I expected her to pretty much not let us in, because as much as we want to play the card with, you know, food from the airport is allowed on board, this was not just food. This looked like a whole lunch for multiple people. I just thought that, you know, they didn't have time to pack it better since we were in a hurry, and they just gave him the first box, I guess a big one. Because, like, why would you give someone such a big ass box for 2 burgers and fries? I just didn't understand. But the flight attendant, you know, she started laughing and said something like, oh, someone's hungry, and immediately just let us in with absolutely no problem. And since we were late, we were among the last people to board the plane. Our seats were towards the middle of the plane, I want to say, so we had to walk in front of everyone with this big ass box, obviously full of food for literally 1 hour flight. People were probably like, what the hell, so starving, like they brought breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a 1 hour flight. And people started joking after they saw us with the box, and I'm not even gonna tell you how much effort it took for us to just sit in our seats. Just holding this shit and navigating between seats and windows, it was hilarious. Then we finally sat and fastened up our seat belts, ready to eat. We opened the box, and there's 6 different items, only one of which is ours. Like 6 different meals. The box was full of burgers, fries, fried chicken, nuggets. We were like, what is going on here? I guess in the hurry they gave us someone else's order and we ended up having 6 meals instead of 1. It was more than clear that there was no way for us to eat all of that by ourselves, so my boyfriend just started offering to the people on our row. And it was so funny because it sounded like he was selling them. He was like, hey sir, would you like some nuggets with fries? People started looking around and the smell was everywhere. Like literally the whole plane smelled like McDonald's or Kentucky Fried Chicken. I don't know. Some people were like, hell yeah, I can have some. Other people thought we were weirdos. But at some point, the whole row of the plane was eating in boxes. There were burgers and fries left and right. It was so funny. It honestly made our flight, and it was cool to share this with strangers. We started talking to other people, and next thing we knew, we were already arriving. And it's amazing how great of a conversation starter can a huge box with burgers be. But yeah, I think this is one of the recent fun stories, and I think with this little story, I can safely say I did my best to answer as many questions as I could without spending 35 minutes just on one of them. So thank you guys so much for writing in. I'm excited to do another Q&A session, and I promise I'll try to answer more questions. So hit up the inbox at evelina@adventureland.com or fill in the form on my website adventureland.com. Stay tuned because my next episode is landing shortly, and until then, bon voyage!